So, you finally got our lovely Shinobu, the savior of the Arataki gang most of the time. Now, I'm sure since the time when she was discovered in leaks and then announced by MiHoYo, many of you, including myself, have been waiting endlessly for her arrival. For many of the reasons other than how beautiful of a character she is, of course, which is that she is the first Electro healer to actually arrive in the game. I know that many of us are Electro mains, and whenever we want to build a team around Electro healer just seems to be missing, making it hard, especially if you want a mono Electro team. There are so many fun things about Shinobu that you just really have to use the character in order to know, and it's also what we will be discussing in today's video. We'll be specifically looking into Shinobu's DPS potential, as many of us would want to have her on field instead of just a support. Now, if you're new to the channel guys, I usually make guides videos especially for free-to-play player, helping you make the best decision when playing Genshin Impact. So be sure to subscribe to not miss out, and it is also a free way of supporting me to get to 20,000 subscribers a lot faster. Either way, I really appreciate every one of you. So with that, let's just jump into the video. So before we look into her DPS capability, it's crucial that you remember some of the most important notes on Shinobu's kit. Now, obviously we already know that she is a healer, but being an Electro healer provides her the ability in different team comps that were generally hard to set up before. Not only that, even though she only has the ability to heal on field character unlike most healer in the game right now, she does an amazing job at it since she can heal you a lot, plus the healing rate is pretty fast of every 1.5 seconds. Her E skill is where you're able to activate the healing that creates a ring surrounding her, dealing electro damage to the enemies around her. The good thing about this is that it has decently good scaling and have a wide area of effect. What's different about Shinobu is that activating this costs her 30% of her HP, which is similar to Tao. However, this doesn't really provide too much effect to her E skill, but actually focuses on her burst skill damage. Her burst fully focuses on dealing damage, so not much of a support capability whatsoever. From my playing through of Shinobu, I had the most fun with using her burst because it does quite good damage in very quick sessions, sapping your enemy's HP very fast. The only thing is that if you want to maximize this damage, her HP has to be at least equal to or below 50%. Her passive talents are decently good too, with the first one giving her more healing bonuses when HP is below 50%, and her E skill scales a bit with EM, with her healing amount increased by 75% of her EM, and its damage is dealt by an increase of 25%. So those are some of the important notes on Shinobu. However, when it comes to building Shinobu's DPS, it will relatively be different from her support healing build, mainly because we will have to decide whether to have more HP build or attack percentage build onto Shinobu. So the first question to answer before everything else is that will Shinobu be a suitable DPS? And after all of the testing I've done, it is an absolute yes. First of all, her attack animation is amazing. It would be really a waste not to use it. But more than that, on top of her healing capability, the other part of her kit also allows her to be a DPS, especially her normal attack scaling, which I would say is decently good. And also her burst focuses on dealing damage, as well as her electro ring surrounding her dealing electro damage over time, allows her to be on field really well. The only thing you'd want to think about is how you'd build Shinobu, because her E skill damage on her normal attack also scales with attack percentage, while only her burst damage scales with HP and healing as well, in which for me personally I'd focus a bit more on attack scaling because we're now having her on field, therefore her normal attack is used a lot. So this is currently the build I'm going with Shinobu. For the character that has percentage HP scaling, it is best to level them up all the way to 90 to get the maximum benefit. Here's her current stats. It's a DPS build, so obviously you'd want crit ratio to be decently good. There are many artifacts options for Shinobu DPS, but I am currently going with 2-piece Tenacity and 2-piece Thundering Fury. For Sans, I'm running attack percentage. Goblet, I'm running EM, as I didn't really have any good Electro Goblet. Otherwise, it's better to go for that, and then crit ratio for the Circlet. Now for substats, you will want to have as much HP percentage and EM as possible on top of the already required crit ratio. DPS builds are generally more expensive than other builds because you need to invest into decent artifacts a lot more. As for weapons, Shinobu has a lot of options for DPS. I'm using Shade Cutter because I have them in my account. Actually, the best option for her right now is it increases HP while giving more attack percentage on top of the insanely high crit ratio also. But I know most of us don't have it, so you can use other options like the Dark Iron Sword, which gives EM and more attack percentage when triggering reactions. The Lion's Roar and the Iron Stings also works really well. You can also use the Festering Desire, but it is more on a support side. The Kaguchi is decent as well, as it gives her pretty good energy recharge for her to have more burst uptime. So she has a lot of good options, not just dependent on the 5 stars. My Shinobu is at C0, which is perfectly good because looking at her constellation, I wouldn't say there are any constellations that are too good. So any of the constellation you get on Shinobu is just basically a bonus. C2 seems to be the best, for it gives her a 100% uptime with her E skill, but even without it, I find that I don't have trouble having her E skill up most of the time because a 3-second cooldown is just absolutely like nothing. At C6, it gives her an extra 150% EM whenever her HP comes down to a required amount. However, this isn't really too much of a big deal either. Most likely you only be having an extra 1 round of her burst having EM boosted and helping her dealing more reaction damage over time. So overall, most of her constellation is not a must. C0 is just perfectly perfect. For talent wise, since you're going for a DPS Shinobu, it is best to level up all of her talent at the same time or to level 8. But if you love Shinobu, then you can just triple crown her too if you like. So now that we've already had a look into Shinobu's DPS potential, a good question to look into is which playstyle really is best for her. For me personally, I would use her as a DPS many of the time because I really enjoy her gameplay. So if you do have the extra resource to build a DPS Shinobu, you can just go for that and dish out decent damage with her. However, do keep in mind that it's going to be a bit more expensive. For the overall build, it would be to go with sub DPS Shinobu, where you have her cast her E skill, then go off field and then switch to her again whenever her burst is up. Because something with DPS Shinobu is that since she'll constantly be healing herself on field, you will almost never get to the point of 50% below HP burst requirement. For sub DPS Shinobu, since you'll be focusing more on burst damage too, you'll be using many of the HP artifacts, especially sands, which increases her healing also. Therefore, the most economic build would be her sub DPS. Shinobu's definitely an interesting character coming to the game, especially with her electro element and healing capability. With her beautiful attack animation, she definitely is perfect for those who love her as a character and want to use her as much as possible. She's really a free to play character to build because of having access to many free weapon options while scaling with HP, which is easy to build on artifacts. C0 is all you need on her to pull out most of her potential, so with a bit of luck you will only have to spend like 10 pulls to get Shinobu. However, she is a 4-star character, so again there are limitations to how much damage and support she is capable of, because it's really tough to have a 4-star character performing on a 5-star level, not like in the past where there were like Xiangling, Xingqiu and Bennett. Either way, she is a very fun character to play and keeps our feet going with the game until the next major patch arrives. For me, I would just definitely have her in many of my teams now that we have an electro healer. So I hope that the video have been very helpful to you. Now I will be uploading Shinobu's top 5 teams in the next video, so if you're new to the channel guys, again be sure to subscribe as to not miss out on the video. And so with that, I wish you a super day and I will catch you on the next video.